Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm a sewing specialist for Fons Porter. In this Sew Easy tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do applique interfacing. Now, there are many ways to applique. This is just one that some of us enjoy doing because it creates a very smooth outer edge and also makes our applique fusible. In this example, I'll show you that the quilt behind me and the block laying here on the surface has a circle center that is appliqued on after the blocks are created. So we're going to show you how to create that center applique. And this can be used for circles, for leaves, for flower petals, lots of shapes, as long as there aren't too many tight inside corners or angles. So keep that in mind. For this pattern, you would have a template like this found in the magazine or inside your pattern. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you would have a plastic template or a laminate like this that you can use to actually trace around. We also use things in our sewing space or in our kitchen sometimes to create circles. So in this case, if I had it on paper, I would come in and use the interfacing with that. You can tell one side has little bumps. That's the fusible part of it. We want to trace onto the right side. Make it a little smoother so that we can easily create a line to sew on. And you can mark this way, or you could, if you are lucky enough to have a template to draw on, you can just drop your template on top. You wouldn't need the design underneath. You could trace around it here, or the pattern can be traced onto the back side of your fabric. One advantage of either transferring this to template plastic or having a heavyweight template like this is it's very easy to draw around. And it's a little bit easier to draw on the fabric piece itself. So I'm going to show you there. So you've got a nice heavy line to stitch on. Then you would take your fabric piece and your interfacing, and you're going to put right sides together, which means the dot of this, the right side of the fabric, and we're going to call the right side the pieces with the glue dot adhered. So in this case, it would be dot to dot. So I'm going to lay those together. Now that seems a little bit backwards because you would think if I took this to the iron, I would be fusing this to the back, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to be doing is sewing on that line all the way around. Now if you need to, you can put a little pin in the middle to help hold the layers together. If this is a large circle, I'd advise doing that. Keeps everything aligned so it doesn't shift as you're sewing. Now we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we are going to stitch with a short stitch length. A lot of the presets on sewing machines are about a 2.0 for stitch length. You want a little bit shorter, so I went to 1.8. And that means that the steps between stitches are shorter and it will give us a more smooth outer edge. So just follow that line all the way around, stitching right on the line. And I've got one done so that you can see. I stitched it with red so it really jumps out. So you can see that the red circle there is all stitched. You would probably want to use, if you were working on this as an applique, probably a dark chocolate brown. But so that you can see the bright red here. Then what we do is take a scissors and we're going to trim within about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. That's a little closer than we usually trim things. We're usually thinking about 1/4 inches. But because we're going to be putting that seam allowance inside the applique, we want it trimmed down to about 1/8 of an inch. And we just keep going all the way around. Some people prefer to use a pinking shears at this point to trim this outer edge. Again, the deep V of the pinking shear, you wouldn't want it to be any closer than about 1/8 of an inch. But not all of us own pinking shears, so you can also do it with straight stitch. And see that I've trimmed this one even closer yet, but okay, within an 1/8 to a 1/16. Okay, now what we need to do is kind of tug and get the interfacing layer pulled back so that we can snip a hole into it. And then we're going to cut this open just a little bit so we can get in to the inside. This is the part where we gently are going to turn this entire thing inside out. In traditional applique, you're using your needle and you're tucking that outer edge underneath. And it can be a task to be very consistent, to keep that outer edge turned under the same amount. So sometimes when you're making a circle or a leaf, it becomes an unusual shape or an original shape at that point. But by using the interfacing style, we can come in here and gently nudge that curve out all the way along. I'm not pushing hard, I'm just gently using my fingernail. You can use a stiletto, just don't push hard, you don't want to punch through, but you'll see that that edge then comes out, and as we lay it down, we're getting a fairly nice, consistent outer edge. There's a couple places where I still kind of have a flat tire look. I need to go in and nudge those a little better and adjust those, but you'll get that nice, clean outer edge. And now, when you think about it, the beads of the adhesive are now on the back side of your circle, ready to be ironed in place. So I could take this or the one created here and iron it right on to the center of my whirling pinwheel there. Now, it's ironed in place. That doesn't mean that it's fusible permanent for washing at this point. You would still need to do an outer edge stitch of some sort, and I've got a couple of options here. This one I've done machine blanket stitch, so it's done in a light colored thread here. You might want to less contrast. You might want to do a traditional black. A lot of times applique buttonhole stitch was done with black. Or you could come in, and this one's done with monofilament, so you can't see it, but you can hear where the stitches are. It's a tiny zigzag that goes into the background and then just takes a little bite into the applique, back into the background, and all the way around, so it would just float on top. Thanks for joining me for Interfacing Applique. Have a good day.